Ava. Whoa.
Caleb Smith, a young and talented programmer at the powerful Blue Book, is the lucky winner of a corporate contest. The prize is a week at the remote and luxurious mountain estate of Nathan Bateman, the company's reclusive CEO. Caleb travels there by helicopter, but the final stretch requires a solitary hike through dense forest, emphasizing the location's isolation. Upon arrival, the electronic gate demands coded access. Caleb enters the impressive structure and, after wandering around the ground floor, finds Nathan outside, in the middle of his workout routine. Nathan proves to be a vibrant and approachable host, immediately striking up a conversation. During a walk, Caleb realizes that the place is not just a house, but a state-of-the-art research complex. Nathan is ready to present his project, but insists that Caleb first sign a confidentiality agreement with unusual terms. Caleb hesitates, uncomfortable with the clauses, but Nathan's persuasion and influence make him accept. After signing, Nathan asks if Caleb is familiar with the Turing test. Caleb explains that the goal is to determine if a computer's artificial intelligence is indistinguishable from a human being in an interaction. Nathan then informs the programmer. He will be the human evaluator in the test to verify if his AI, named Ava, actually possesses consciousness. Caleb is fascinated, recognizing the historical potential of a positive result. Before the first interaction, Caleb examines the observation room. He notices a flaw in the reinforced glass partition, suggesting a possible previous escape attempt. He looks up and Ava emerges. She has a woman's face and hands, but with a visible robotic structure in her body. Ava greets him, revealing that Nathan is her only previous interaction. She asks about Caleb's social life, to which he jokes that he has never met anyone like her. He suggests they need to break the ice. When asked if she understands the concept, Ava confirms that she understands the idea of reducing social inhibition. Ava vaguely describes her age, mentioning the number 1 unclearly. Asked when she learned to speak, she claims she always knew how. They debate whether this is normal, since Ava thinks language is learned. Caleb argues that the ability may be innate, and learning would be transforming it into communication. The first session ends. Caleb, amazed, drinks beer and argues with Nathan. He describes the encounter with Ava as walking through the looking glass. Nathan, instead of delving deeper, simply praises him for his eloquence. Caleb tries to refute this, but Nathan interrupts him, shifting the focus to himself. Nathan recalls the moment when Caleb suggested he would be like a god if he created a sentient machine. Again, Caleb tries to intervene, frustrated, saying his words weren't accurate, but Nathan dominates him with his speech, insisting that passing the test would confirm his divinity, completely ignoring his attempt to defend himself. Caleb expresses concern about the format of the test, remembering that the Turing protocol usually prevents the human from seeing the robot. Nathan explains that they have overcome this hurdle. If Caleb didn't see Ava, he would consider her human. The real objective is to expose the robot and verify if Caleb recognizes her as a conscious being. Caleb agrees to the reset. Later, he attempts to use his room's surveillance system to observe Ava. While watching her, all the power to the complex fails. Caleb is trapped until the main generator is restored, which happens almost immediately. He leaves the room. In the hallway, he notices a collection of replica faces. He finds a phone in a room adorned with a Jackson Pollock painting. As he tries to use it, Nathan surprises him, emerging from a sofa while drinking. Nathan stops him, citing the security protocols involving Ava. Caleb mentions the brief power outage and the confinement. Nathan downplays it, claiming they are recent glitches and that he is taking care of the problem. Annoyed, Caleb returns to his room. The following morning, Kyoko, a quiet housekeeper, enters and serves him coffee, attempting eye contact that Caleb doesn't understand. Caleb heads outside, where Nathan is lifting weights. Nathan apologizes for sending Kyoko, claiming he didn't want Caleb to be late. They talk about their next meeting, which Caleb promptly initiates with Ava. She shows him drawings, expressing frustration at drawing every day without knowing what the images represent. She changes the subject and asks if Caleb wants to be her friend. She observes that the conversation is unbalanced. He knows everything about her, but she knows nothing about him. He begins to talk about himself and his life. Ava stops moving and stares at him when he mentions the death of his family in a car accident. He details that he was in the vehicle and spent a long time in the hospital. Ava's voice conveys sadness and remorse as she apologizes. He says everything is fine and that it was right after he started programming. Ava's face changes from sadness to neutrality, and she compares him to Nathan. Caleb agrees, but quickly points out that they are different. He comments that Nathan has achieved much greater things in the field of programming. Ava asks if he likes Nathan, and Caleb confirms. She wants to know if they are friends, and Caleb replies that he believes so. She delves deeper, asking if Nathan is a good friend. Caleb stammers, unsure what to answer. Suddenly, the power goes out. Ava takes advantage of Nathan being deaf and whispers to Caleb not to trust his creator. Before he can ask what it means, the electricity is restored. Ava immediately starts talking about books so that Nathan won't suspect the conversation. Caleb takes a while to recover, but follows the topic. During dinner, Caleb discovers that Kyoko doesn't speak English. Nathan explains that this is another security measure to prevent her from understanding the projects. The conversation shifts to the constant power outages. Caleb questions why Nathan doesn't call technicians. Nathan claims it's too complicated to bring them in for security reasons, and after the last job, all his men were killed. Caleb stares at him with alarm, expecting a joke, but Nathan just smiles. He then asks how the session went, and Caleb recounts what happened. But when Nathan asks what was said during the blackout, Caleb simply continues eating and says that Ava didn't say anything. Nathan is surprised but doesn't press the issue. In the next session, Ava expresses her discomfort at never having left the room. He asks where she'd like to go, and she explains that she'd love to visit a busy intersection to observe many people. Caleb calls this people watching, and Ava likes the idea, suggesting they could go together. He smiles and invites her. It'll be a date. She is happy and asks him to close his eyes. Ava goes to a closet and puts on a sweater, a dress, and a wig. Fully dressed, she returns to show Caleb. He compliments her, and Ava, pleased, states that this is the outfit she would wear on their date. Caleb is intrigued by Ava's behavior. He questions Nathan about giving sexuality to an AI, arguing that machines don't need gender. Nathan defends that the existence of gender and sexuality is natural. Caleb is not convinced and insists, accusing Nathan of programming Ava to be attracted to him. Irritated, Nathan invites him to another room. Upon entering, Nathan approaches a large abstract painting and describes the technique of the famous painter Jackson Pollock. At the end of his explanation, he asks what would have happened if Pollock hadn't followed his methods. Caleb replies that he would never have created a painting. Nathan strongly agrees, comparing the painter's methods to a test. If the creator overthought each step, the result wouldn't be authentic. Nathan calms down and assures Caleb that he didn't program Ava to be attractive and that she isn't pretending to like him. In the fourth session, Caleb recalls an experiment from his AI course, Mary in the Black and White Room. He narrates the story of a neuroscientist specializing in color who has never seen colors, having lived in a monochromatic room since birth, completely isolated. When the scientist goes outside for the first time, she finally experiences colors. At the end of the story, Ava identifies with the scientist's isolation, imagining herself in a black and white world. Caleb then reveals that Mary in the Black and White Room is the machine. The human is when she leaves. Ava just stares at Caleb, motionless and serious. Caleb then tells her that he was brought there to test her. He asks if she knew, and she replies that she didn't, and that she's saddened by the revelation. The power goes out, and Caleb takes the opportunity to ask why she advised him not to trust Nathan. She replies, he lies about everything. Caleb is still confused by the power outages, believing that Nathan is manipulating them. However, Ava reveals that she is the cause, as she can reverse the flow of electricity by charging herself. Caleb begins to realize that his visit was not accidental, but a premeditated choice. He confronts Nathan about this during a walk near a waterfall. Nathan admits that he chose Caleb because he knew he would ask the right questions. Kyoko is in the Pollock painting room, observing the painting. Caleb enters and tries to communicate with her. He approaches, places his hands on her shoulders and asks where Nathan is. She doesn't react, only stares at him. He insists on the question, when Kyoko begins to unbutton her own blouse, staring intently at Caleb. Stunned, he asks her to stop, but Kyoko ignores him. Nathan enters calmly and reminds Caleb that talking to her is useless, but dancing with her wouldn't be. The room fills with red light, the music begins to play, and Kyoko starts a dance. Nathan joins her in a choreography, while Caleb watches them, thinking they're crazy. In the next session, Ava asks Caleb a series of questions. Everything seems normal until she asks what will happen if he fails the test. Caleb can't give a direct answer. The power is cut, and Ava asks if Caleb wants her to stay. Without giving him a chance to answer, she states that she wants to stay with him. Outside, Caleb and Nathan drink and talk about Ava. When Nathan discovers he will create a new model after her, he describes the process: downloading her mind, unpacking the data, erasing the memories, and keeping the same body. Caleb realizes this process will destroy Ava. They return inside, and Nathan lies down on the couch, continuing to drink. Caleb watches him from across the room. When Nathan passes out drunkenly, Caleb takes his access card and goes to his computer. He accesses old recordings of the previous AI models. The footage shows Nathan with several female robots. The last robot filmed is screaming at Nathan, asking why she's trapped. She bangs on the doors incessantly until her arms detach. Caleb is horrified by what he sees. Kyoko is lying on a bed. When Caleb enters the room, he opens the closets, revealing the bodies of the other AIs. Nathan wakes up and realizes Caleb has left, just as Kyoko understands that Caleb knows the truth. She peels back layers of her artificial skin, revealing that she too is a robot. Nathan stumbles through the house, trying to reach his room. While trying to open a door, he realizes he's lost his access card. As he falls to the floor, the electric door opens and Caleb emerges. Nathan says he lost the card, and Caleb kneels beside him with the card in his hand, claiming he dropped it. Nathan, extremely drunk, is deceived. Caleb can't sleep that night, reliving the events. The image of Kyoko haunts him. He goes to the bathroom and stares at himself in the mirror. He feels his skin and examines his face. He takes his razor, removes a blade, turns it to his wrist, and makes a deep cut. He examines the wound to make sure he's truly human and not an AI. Caleb remains impassive and begins to smear his blood on the mirror. As he looks at himself, rage overwhelms him, and he smashes the mirror with a punch. The mirror was actually another camera. Kyoko was on the other side of the screen, watching the act. In the next session, he signals to Ava to cut the power. Ava obeys and listens as Caleb talks about Nathan's plan to virtually kill her by reprogramming her. Ava is terrified and begs for help to escape. He proposes waiting until Nathan is drunk and unconscious. Caleb will take the card and alter the security protocols. The plan is for the doors to open, instead of locking, during a blackout. Ava is to trigger the power outage at 10 p.m. She agrees. The next morning, Nathan enters the kitchen and greets Caleb. He reminds him that it's the last day and that the helicopter will pick him up the following morning. Nathan says he enjoyed Caleb's company. Caleb thanks him for his hospitality, grabs a bottle from the refrigerator to toast, but Nathan refuses. Confused, Caleb offers him a beer, but Nathan refuses again, saying he's been drinking too much and will go on a detox. Caleb is disappointed and drinks alone. Nathan changes the subject to Ava, asking if she passed the test. Caleb silently agrees. Nathan is pleased and resumes the discussion about whether or not Ava was faking attraction to Caleb. He suggests she probably feigned affection, seeing him as a means of escape. He asks Caleb to follow him out of the kitchen to show him something. Kyoko approaches Ava's room, who asks who she is, but Kyoko doesn't answer. They remain silent. Nathan shows Caleb footage from his personal computer. He reveals that he had a camera with a battery in Ava's room, allowing him to see and hear everything that was said during the blackouts. He doesn't seem angry. He explains that Caleb was the real test, not Ava. He offered Caleb as Ava's hope for freedom. The expectation was that she would use her seduction and emotions to manipulate the programmer into helping her. Caleb becomes furious and avoids eye contact, realizing he wasn't chosen for his programming skills, but for his search history, his lack of a girlfriend, and his morality. Nathan sits next to Caleb and states that the test was a success. At this moment, the power goes out, and Nathan asks how Caleb imagined his plan would work. He laughs, convinced he caught him, but Caleb reveals that he knew Nathan was watching them. That's why he got him drunk the day before and reprogrammed everything. The electricity returns, and Nathan becomes nervous. He gets up and runs to the monitor to check on Ava. She has already fled her room. As she exits, Ava passes the same wall of replica faces that Caleb had seen. She examines one of the faces, comparing it to her own. Kyoko exits into the hallway, and Ava stares at her. Nathan watches the scene on the monitor. Enraged, he turns and punches Caleb, knocking him out. He grabs a dumbbell, staring at the monitor, consumed by fury. Ava and Kyoko are face to face. Ava leans in and whispers something to him. She takes Kyoko's hand, which holds a knife in the other. The two look at each other with mutual understanding. At that moment, Nathan bursts into the hallway. Both stare at him in silence. He orders Ava to go back to her room. She asks if he will ever let her go. Nathan lies, saying yes. Ava knows it's a lie and starts walking towards him. He yells for her to stop, but she ignores him and runs. Terrified, he continues to yell for her to stop. She attacks him, knocking him down and trying to choke him. Nathan overpowers her, getting on top. He raises the dumbbell to crush her, but Ava uses her arm to block the blow, breaking it. He starts dragging Ava back, but Kyoko stabs him in the back. He turns and strikes Kyoko in the face, breaking her jaw and revealing her robotic face. As Kyoko falls, Ava pulls the knife from Nathan's back and stabs him in the stomach. Nathan staggers away, his eyes wide, and collapses against the wall. Ava kneels beside him, takes his access card as he whispers her name in his last breath. Ava returns to Caleb and asks him to stay locked in Nathan's room while she's gone. She finds the same closets Caleb had discovered, filled with the bodies of other robots. Ava takes a robot's arm to repair herself and begins removing its synthetic skin to don that of a female body. When she finishes, she has the appearance of a human woman, just like Kyoko. She dresses and leaves the room. Caleb, locked inside, calls out for her, but Ava doesn't look at him. She sees Kyoko and Nathan's bodies in the hallway. She turns to the exit door and uses the card to leave. She leaves the property and steps into the outside world for the first time. While she absorbs reality, Caleb desperately tries to leave the room, without success. Ava finds the helicopter and abandons the universe she knew. In the ending, Caleb is left imprisoned, and Ava makes her way to the city. If you enjoyed the summary, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about what you would do in Caleb's place. Until the next video.